Summary: You are the placebo making your mind mad. Dr. Joe Dispenza. Book link. Click here. Here is a summary of the praise for You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Christiane Northrup, MD, a New York Times best-selling author, calls the book the instruction manual for how to produce miracles in your body, with your health, and in your life. She says it may be the only prescription you'll ever need. Daniel G. Amen, MD, a psychiatrist and brain disorder specialist, says the book explores how your mind is essential to success and happiness in all areas of life. He calls it a powerful exploration of your most important resource that offers many practical tools to optimize your mind. Bernie Siegel, MD, an author focused on the mind-body connection, says the book teaches the truth that the body experiences what the mind believes. He says we all have the potential for self-induced healing, and this book shows how to achieve that potential. Greg Braden, a New York Times best-selling author, calls the book a paradigm-altering work that gives rock-solid reasons to accept the game-changer of our lives, that the placebo effect is us, proving to ourselves the greatest possibilities of healing, miracles, and longevity. Don Miguel Ruiz, MD, the Four Agreements author, calls Dr. Dispenza a master teacher who can explain science simply so everyone can understand. Sonia Choquette, a sixth sensory consultant and New York Times best-selling author, says the book is a must-read for anyone who wants to experience optimal health in mind, body, and spirit. She says it dispels the myth that health is out of our control and shows us how to create it. The praise comes from notable medical experts, mind-body connection, neuroscience, and personal transformation. They call the book paradigm-shifting, inspiring, practical, and a potentially life-changing read for health and well-being. The central message they highlight is that our minds have far more influence over our health and biology than most realize. The author was in a severe accident during a triathlon where an SUV hit him from behind, catapulting him into the air and causing him to land on his back. He suffered compression fractures in 6 upper and mid-back vertebrae, with his T8 vertebra 60% collapsed. Bone fragments were pushed back toward his spinal cord. He had neurological symptoms like pain, numbness, tingling, and difficulty controlling his legs. Doctors said he needed surgery to implant metal rods in his spine or he would likely be paralyzed. Even with surgery, he would likely have chronic pain and disability for life. Without surgery, paralysis was certain as his spine couldn't support his body weight. He got opinions from 3 top doctors who all recommended the spine surgery, saying he would never walk again without it. However, the author chose not to get the recommended surgery. He believed there was an intelligence within him that could heal his body. He tapped into this and used his mind to promote healing, overcoming a grim prognosis. His decision and recovery showed him the possibility of what the mind can do to heal the body. This set him on a journey to study consciousness and the mind-body connection. The key ideas are: the author suffered a severe spine injury with a poor prognosis. He refused recommended surgery. Believing in the mind's ability to heal through using his mind, he overcame a grim medical prediction. This experience started his investigating consciousness and mind-body medicine. The author sustained a severe spinal injury that left him paralyzed. Against medical advice, he left the hospital to focus on healing himself. He reasoned that if the intelligence that sustains and heals our bodies, creating cells, heartbeat, chemical reactions, is honest and loving, he could connect with it and ask it to heal him. He spent 2 hours twice a day going within, picturing in detail his spine being reconstructed and healed. This required intense focus and fully present, catching himself when his mind wandered to negative thoughts. After 6 weeks of struggle, he could do this visualization without interruption. He felt a sense of peace, wholeness and joy. His body began healing rapidly. In 9.5 weeks, he was walking again with no surgery. This experience changed him profoundly. He began studying spirituality and the mind-body connection. He felt a calling to research spontaneous remissions and how people heal without medicine. He made a deal with the consciousness that healed him that if he walked again, he would devote his life to investigating the mind-body connection. He has been doing that for nearly 30 years. Key lessons: our thoughts and beliefs control our reality. Mind and body are not separate. We must focus on and emotionally experience the future we want to create. This allows our cells, genes and body to change accordingly. We are all divine creators of our reality. The critical factors in his healing were: intense visualization, an emotional embodiment of a healed future, eliminating negative thoughts, maintaining focus and presence, and trusting in higher intelligence. The body has an innate capacity for self-healing that the mind can activate. After trying various treatments, the author started studying people who had recovered from illnesses. She found that a vital element of mind and belief was common across these cases. She then looked at neuroscience and related topics to understand the mind-body connection better. She started teaching workshops on changing one's mind and life using knowledge of neuroscience and meditation. Initially, these workshops produced small changes, but as people practiced the teachings, more significant changes and even spontaneous remissions from illness started occurring. The author wrote 2 books explaining the neuroscience of change and providing practical guidance. She was also invited to work with corporations and developed coaching programs in 30 Days to Genius for companies. Her work gained more proof and credibility when, at her 2012 workshop, 7 people had spontaneous remissions and healings of various conditions. To further study what was happening, the author held a 2013 workshop where researchers measured changes in participants' brain activity, heart activity, energy fields, and more. Dramatic changes were measured during and after the workshop. For example, a person's Parkinson's tremors disappear. The critical revelation and progress have been a move from providing information to facilitating fundamental transformation in people. The author's work has substantially helped many people change their minds and lives, backed by scientific measurements and evidence. Meditation and belief seem instrumental in these life-changing, and even healing, transformations. Here's a summary. The book shares many stories of people who have healed themselves or made themselves sick through the power of thought alone. These stories demonstrate the fantastic abilities of the human mind. Part I provides the scientific background on the placebo effect and how it works in the brain and body. It gives you the knowledge to understand how to heal yourself through thought alone. Chapter 1 shares stories of people healed by their thoughts or died from a misdiagnosis. It shows the power of the mind to heal or harm. Chapter 2 provides a history of the placebo effect, from the 1700s through today. It discusses critical discoveries and researchers, like the doctor who used hypnosis and the surgeon who used saline injections as painkillers. It covers Norman Cousins, Herbert Benson, and Fabrizio Benedetti. The book is not about the ethics of placebos, denial, or evaluating different healing modalities. It focuses on teaching you how to heal yourself through thought alone. Part 2 provides techniques and strategies for harnessing the placebo effect to heal yourself. It gives you the necessary instruction and opportunities to apply your learning. The key message is that you can heal yourself through the power of thought alone by harnessing the placebo effect. The book aims to show you how to do that through knowledge, instruction, and practice. Here's a summary. The author explains that the placebo effect allows people to improve their symptoms by changing their thoughts and anticipating positive outcomes. Placebo works by replacing negative thoughts with positive ones, which leads to new neural pathways in the brain and changes in the body. Our thoughts and beliefs affect our physical health. The human brain and body are constantly changing due to neuroplasticity and epigenetics. We can select new genes and create fundamental physical changes with our thoughts and beliefs. Mental rehearsal, imagining future positive outcomes, can lead to fundamental physiological changes. A person's degree of suggestibility and ability to access the subconscious mind plays a role in the placebo effect. Meditation helps increase suggestibility. Our subconscious beliefs and perceptions shape our reality and health. We can change them with intention and emotion. According to the quantum model, all possibilities exist in the present moment. This allows people to choose and observe new positive health outcomes in reality. The author shares stories of workshop participants who could heal themselves from supposedly incurable conditions using placebo techniques, like visualizing health improvements and meditation. Their brain scans provide evidence that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary changes in health and physiology using the placebo method. In summary, the placebo effect taps into the power of the mind and belief to influence physiology and health. People can transform their reality and heal them by changing their thoughts and perceptions. The techniques of mental rehearsal, meditation, emotion, intention, and suggestibility can activate the placebo effect. Sam Lond was diagnosed with metastatic esophageal cancer and given only months to live. Despite the dire prognosis, his condition initially improved under the care of Dr. Meter. But exactly 1 week after Lond told Dr. Meter he only wanted to live until Christmas, he suddenly took a turn for the worse and died. An autopsy revealed that Lond did not have extensive cancer and that neither the small liver nor lung tumor was big enough to kill him. He appears to have died from the expectation and belief that he was dying. Fred Mason, a 26-year-old grad student, attempted suicide by overdosing on pills from an antidepressant clinical trial. When he got to the ER, doctors could find nothing physically wrong with him, but he exhibited symptoms like low blood pressure, rapid pulse, and drowsiness. After 4 hours, doctors learned Mason had been taking placebos with no drugs. Once he found out, his symptoms rapidly disappeared. Like Lond, Mason seems to have exhibited a nocebo effect, experiencing harmful effects from an inert substance due solely to his expectation that it would make him sick. These cases suggest that thought alone may be powerful enough to make people sick and even lead to death in extreme circumstances. Expectations and beliefs appear able to impact health and physiology significantly. While full explanations for these effects remain elusive, they suggest the possibility of harnessing thought and expectation for healing. Janice Schoenfeld suffered from chronic depression for decades but found relief after participating in a drug trial for an antidepressant called venlafaxine, Effexor. However, she later found out that she was actually in the placebo group and had been taking sugar pills. Despite this, her depression lifted, her brain waves changed, and she experienced side effects like nausea. This shows that the placebo effect can create fundamental physiological changes, not just a perceived sense of improvement. Mr. Wright had advanced lymphoma and was close to death when he received an injection of an experimental drug called carbimazine. His tumors shrank dramatically, but when he found out carbimazine didn't work, his cancer returned. His doctor gave him a placebo saline injection, telling him it was a new double-strength version of carbimazine. Again, Wright's tumors disappeared, showing the power of the placebo effect and the mind-body connection. However, when the AMA announced carbimazine was worthless, Wright's cancer returned, and he died shortly after. Dr. Bruce Moseley conducted a study on 10 men with severe knee osteoarthritis who were candidates for arthroscopic knee surgery. He performed placebo surgeries on some, making incisions but not doing anything. These patients reported just as much improved condition as those who received the surgery. This shows the possibility that the mind and expectations are as much a factor in healing as the actual medical procedure. In all these cases, the mind seems able to override the body and influence health based on beliefs and expectations. The implication is that if thoughts can make us sick, ideas may also have the power to make us well. Positive beliefs and expectations can create natural healing, even in severe conditions. The mind may control the body much more than conventionally understood. Dr. J. Bruce Moseley conducted a study where he performed knee surgery on patients with osteoarthritis. Some patients received actual knee surgery, like debridement or lavage, while others received sham or pretend surgery where no actual medical procedure was performed. Surprisingly, patients in all groups reported significantly reduced pain and improved mobility, showing that the placebo effect, the belief that one received actual treatment, was powerful. In a similar study, patients with angina received either a standard internal mammary ligation surgery or a sham surgery. Again, most patients in both groups reported less pain and improved outcomes. This suggests the placebo effect, and patients' belief they received actual treatment, could influence healing. Numerous other studies show a connection between a positive attitude and better health and longevity. For example, optimists tend to live longer and have fewer health problems. Those with a positive view of aging live 7 years longer on average. Heart patients with more positive emotions were likelier to live 11 years later, and a positive outlook offered vital protection against heart disease for those at high risk. The mind-body connection is powerful. Anticipatory nausea causes chemotherapy patients to feel ill before treatment. Studies show up to 40% of chemo patients who expected to feel sick got nauseated before treatment, while none who didn't feel sick got nauseated. This shows that thoughts and expectations can make a person sick. But the mind may also have the power to heal, as the placebo effect studies show. In summary, the placebo effect proves belief and expectations influence on both sickness and healing. Positive thoughts and optimistic outlooks can enhance health and longevity. The mind has power over how our bodies feel. Understanding this mind-body connection can help harness its power. The story is about a woman who suffered from various illnesses and chronic pain for years. She followed many doctors' advice, but her symptoms persisted. Then, she went to a new doctor who did some blood tests. The test results came back negative, showing she was healthy. Upon learning this, her symptoms immediately disappeared. The example illustrates the power of the mind-body connection. The new information the woman received led to a change in her beliefs about her health. This shift in opinion has altered her body and made her symptoms disappear. The story of Parkinson's patients further demonstrates this mind-body connection. Patients who believed they would receive a drug to help with symptoms experienced symptom improvement and even produced more dopamine, a key neurotransmitter lacking in Parkinson's. Their expectation of getting better triggered a biological change. The examples of snake handlers, firewalkers, and displays of hysterical strength also show the ability of belief and mindset to alter the bodily experience. Despite facing dangerous snakes, fire, or having to lift impossibly heavy objects, these people can do so unharmed because of the strength of their belief and mental state. The story of Vance Vanders, the man who was voodoo, provides another compelling example. Vanders believed he would die from a voodoo hex, and his health rapidly declined. But when his doctor tricked him into believing the curse had been lifted, his condition quickly improved. His new belief in being cured led to a biological shift that restored his health. In summary, these cases suggest the mind and body are deeply interconnected. The information and beliefs about our health and abilities can alter our biology for better or worse. Our thoughts and expectations may profoundly shape our body's experience and even its underlying physiology. Strong belief can open us up to healing and give us abilities we didn't know we possessed. But it may also make us susceptible to harm from the curses and limiting beliefs we hold about ourselves. Placebos have a long history of apparent healing effects, from biblical stories of miraculous healings to people flocking to sacred sites like Lourdes. The placebo effect seems linked to people's faith, belief, and expectations. In the 1700s, Franz Mesmer developed an animal magnetism theory and a healing technique involving manipulating a magnetic fluid in the body. His plans seemed to produce convulsions and heal various ailments. His most famous case was partially curing a blind pianist. The Marquis de Puységur took Mesmer's ideas further, using hypnotism to induce a trance state in which people seemed highly suggestible but had no memory of it after. Puységur believed the power of healing was in the person's mind, not the practitioner's. These early explorations of the placebo effect and the mind-body connection showed that belief, faith, and expectation could affect health and physiology. Modern medicine has explored this further with randomized controlled trials and studies on the neuroscience of placebos. In the 19th century, Scottish surgeon James Braid studied mesmerism and developed hypnotism. He found that hypnosis could be used to cure disorders. Jean-Martin Charcot claimed hypnosis only worked for hysterics. Hippolyte Bernheim said hypnosis worked for everyone and used it therapeutically. During World Wars I and II, hypnosis was used to treat shell shock, now PTSD. It helped soldiers cope with trauma and reduce anxiety and physical symptoms. The placebo effect shows how belief and expectation can influence health. Researchers began using double-blind trials to control for the placebo effect. The nocebo effect is the harmful counterpart to the placebo effect. Belief in curses, hexes, or adverse effects of treatment can negatively impact health. Studies show the nocebo effect. Allergic children got rashes from placebo leaves and not from poison ivy when told the leaves wouldn't hurt them. Asthma patients had attacks from placebo inhalers. Nocebo shows the mind's influence over the body. These effects show how thoughts and expectations can override environmental conditions and alter physiology. This helped lead to the study of psychoneuroimmunology. A study in the 1970s gave placebo pills to patients after wisdom teeth removal. The patients reported pain relief, showing that placebos can trigger the release of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers. This meant the mind could produce real physiological effects, not just perceived ones. Conditioning experiments in the 1970s showed that the body could be conditioned to react in specific ways below the level of conscious awareness. For example, rats were conditioned to associate a sweet taste with stomach pain. Even after the stomach pain stimulus was removed, the sweet taste alone caused the rats' immune systems to be suppressed. This showed the power of the mind to impact the body. Around this time, practices like transcendental meditation and the relaxation response showed that changing thought patterns could alter physical measures like blood pressure and heart rate. Norman Cousins' experience showed the power of positive emotions and laughter to overcome a dire medical prognosis. These were among the first breakthroughs showing the influence of the mind and thoughts on the body. They suggested that placebos, conditioning, meditation, positive thinking, and laughter could significantly impact health and physiology. The reason seemed able to create new realities with real physical consequences. Norman Cousins laughed himself to health from a severe illness. His positive attitude and emotion changed his body chemistry, turned on genes for health, and turned off genes for the disease. A study found diabetic patients had better blood sugar control after watching a comedy than after a health lecture. Laughter activated immune genes and glucose control genes. Placebo studies found placebos work as well as antidepressants for most people. This shows the power of mindset to heal. The body makes its natural antidepressants. Brain scans show placebos activate the same brain areas and circuits as drugs. The body responds as conditioned to the effects of medications taken previously. This is proof the body can produce healing chemicals on its own. Different placebo treatments work best for different goals. Verbal suggestion works for conscious responses like pain relief. Conditioning works for unconscious responses like hormone secretion. There are several placebo responses, not just one. A study found placebos worked even when people knew they were taking placebos. Expectation of benefit, not deception, activated the placebo effect. Patients got symptom relief from placebo pills labeled placebo. The critical lesson is the body has an innate ability to heal itself when the mind leads the way. Belief in the possibility of cure and recovery can activate self-healing mechanisms. The placebo effect shows the power of mindset over matter. Recent research shows that the placebo effect, the mind's belief in an outcome independent of the cause, can have actual physiological effects on the body. Studies show that placebos can influence conditions like irritable bowel syndrome and even influence the benefits of exercise. Our beliefs, perceptions, and the meaning we assign to events can affect our health and performance. Studies show that ideas about gender and race can influence scores on standardized tests. This is due to the stereotype threat effect, where people perform less well when pressured to conform to a stereotype. The effects of priming, where exposure to certain stimuli triggers unconscious associations and behaviors, demonstrate that we often act unconsciously without realizing it. The beliefs and expectations that are primed in us can profoundly impact our performance and success. Studies show optimists experience more excellent placebo effects and benefits than pessimists. The mindset we bring to a situation, treatment, or drug can determine how much we may benefit from it. This suggests we have the power to be our placebo through the expectations and beliefs we cultivate. The research highlights the significant role that our mindset and beliefs play in what we experience in life, from health to performance to success. Our perceptions and the meaning we make of events shape our reality in many ways. We have more influence over the outcomes in our lives than we may realize. Here's a summary. Conditioning. When we associate an experience, like taking an aspirin, with a physiological change, headache going away, it can lead to the placebo effect. If we repeat this enough, even a fake pill can trigger the same response. Expectation. Our suggestibility increases when we anticipate a different outcome, like new medication relieving pain. We select a new possibility, being pain-free, and expect that result. Our brain and body then create the perfect chemistry to achieve that state. Meaning. When we understand something new and put conscious intention behind it, we assign more meaning. For example, once the maids knew their work provided exercise benefits, they aimed to get healthy, not just finish tasks. They got healthier, unlike the uninformed control group doing the same job. Placebo depends on how thoughts change physiology, mind over matter. We have 60,000–70,000 daily thoughts, primarily repetitive and redundant. The body is the mind's instrument when an idea triggers a physical reaction. For example, anxiety triggers stress hormones. The placebo activates the body's pharmacy. When we anticipate an outcome, less pain, the brain signals the body, which releases chemicals as if that outcome happened. The body is producing the perfect drugs for that thought or anticipation. Views on placebo. Reductionism. It's just mind over matter, thoughts changing physiology. But mind and matter are deeply interconnected. Mind-body holism. Mind and body are not separate. Our consciousness shapes reality. Beliefs, thoughts, and emotions directly impact health and biology. Quantum physics. The observer is part of the system being observed. We shape reality at a subatomic level based on our perceptions and expectations. Mind and matter emerge from a deeper unified field. So in summary, the placebo works through conditioning, expectation, and meaning. Our thoughts have a potent and tangible impact on our physiology and health. The placebo is not an illusion but shows our innate capacity for healing. We live a large part of our lives on autopilot, thinking the same thoughts, making the same choices, demonstrating the same behaviors, creating the same experiences, and producing the same emotions day after day. This results in the same biology, brain activity, brain circuits, brain chemistry, body chemistry, gene expression, proteins, and cells. Our life and health stay the same. Our personality, how we think, act, and feel, creates our reality. To change our life, we must become someone else by changing how we think, work, and fish. New thoughts lead to new choices, which lead to new behaviors, new experiences, new emotions, and new ways of thinking, evolution. This results in a new personal reality and new biology. The brain comprises 100 billion neurons with thousands of connections between them. Neurons communicate across connections called synapses using neurotransmitters. When we think, neurotransmitters cross synapses and neurons fire, strengthening relationships. Repeated thoughts strengthen connections further. When neurons fire together, they produce proteins that switch on genes, the genes that have more proteins to create new neuron branches and connections. Repeated thoughts and experiences make more and stronger relationships, changing brain structure and function. New thoughts immediately change our neurology, chemistry, and genetics. New learning and experiences create thousands of new connections in seconds. Ideas alone can activate new genes by changing our minds. Our mind controls our body and biology. To summarize, if we repeatedly practice and review what we have learned, we strengthen the connections between neurons in our brain, making the memory more permanent. If we practice, the links stay, and memory is preserved. Repeating experiences leads to the formation of neural networks and circuits in our brain. These networks allow us to perform specific tasks automatically without conscious effort or thought. However, continually repeating the same thoughts and behaviors reinforces those neural networks, making them harder to change. This can limit our thinking and perception. To promote change, we must engage in new learning and new experiences. This activates new neural pathways through neuroplasticity, where the brain adapts its structure and function. The change process can be complicated because it requires moving from the familiar and predictable to the unfamiliar and uncertain. This transition period between an old self and a new self can feel uncomfortable, leading many people to revert to their habitual ways of thinking and being. To successfully change, one must push through this discomfort to create new thoughts, choices, behaviors and emotions to shape a new self. In essence, stepping into the river of change involves leaving behind the known for the unknown. Our brains are wired to think in familiar ways based on our past experiences and environment. This leads us to have the same emotional reactions and feelings that feel familiar but are just ordinary. Crossing the river of change by adopting new ways of thinking and behaving is uncomfortable because it requires dismantling old neural connections and habits developed over years of repetition. This process can feel like the death of our old self. But embracing this discomfort and the unknown leads to growth and new possibilities. For real change to happen, we must develop new neural connections through new experiences and actions. We must adopt new emotional states and signal new gene expressions through these new thoughts and actions. This leads to fundamental biological changes and a new self. Our environment and experiences shape who we are by creating neural connections and memories. To change, we must overcome the influence of our environment by adopting new thoughts and behaviors that are greater than our current circumstances. Thinking and feeling are closely connected in a loop. Our thoughts produce feelings, and our feelings then create ideas that match those feelings. Repeating this loop conditions our mind and body to a particular state based on the past. To change, we must interrupt this loop. Our cells respond to the chemical messages from our thoughts and feelings. Repeating the same thoughts and feelings leads to the same gene expressions and biological changes, which can have adverse health effects. We must provide new information to our cells through new thoughts and experiences to change this cycle. Our cells have receptors that act as docking stations for chemicals, like neurotransmitters, carrying signals in our body and brain. For a cell to activate and respond, it usually needs a large enough dose of chemicals for the docking station doors to open. Usually, when the brain produces heightened emotions, it releases more chemicals. This stimulates the cells enough for the docking station doors to open and the cells to activate. When cells frequently activate in response to certain chemicals, the body develops a habit and craving for those chemicals. The body then signals the brain to produce more chemicals, even when it may not need them. This can lead to a kind of emotional addiction. Repeated cycles of emotion and thought can condition the body to activate habitually. This is like a subconscious program that makes up much of our personality and perception. Breaking out of this loop requires conscious awareness of our habits and choices. For example, a past traumatic public speaking experience could condition a fear response through this kind of cycle. Recalling the memory produces the same emotions, reinforcing the neural connections and fear response. Though the event is in the past, the body reacts as though it is recurring in the present. To overcome this, we must break the cycle of associating the memory with the same emotions and physiological response. We must avoid reinforcing those neural connections, build new associations, and make new choices using conscious awareness and control. In general, to become our placebo and positively influence our health and life, we must break habitual and conditioned responses. We must avoid being defined and controlled by the programs of our unconscious body and past experiences. Made consciously, new choices and new emotional associations can help recondition the body and mind. In 1981, Ellen Langer conducted a study where she took two groups of older men to a monastery for a 5-day retreat. The first group was asked to pretend they were 22 years younger. The second group was asked to reminisce about being younger but not pretend they were younger. After the retreat, the researchers found that the bodies of the men in both groups seemed physiologically younger. But the first group, who pretended to be younger, improved significantly. They grew taller, lost weight, became more flexible, had better eyesight and hearing, stronger grips, improved memory, and better cognition. Some gave up their canes. The measurable changes suggested their bodies had become physiologically younger, not just felt younger. Langer attributes these changes to the men activating the circuits in their brains associated with being younger, which then caused changes in their body chemistry and physical transformations. DNA and genes are more unchangeable than often thought. DNA contains instructions for who we are, but our experiences and environment can activate or deactivate those instructions. The study suggests that men could turn on specific genes associated with youth and turn off those associated with aging, resulting in measurable physiological changes. Their expectations and beliefs seem to influence their biology. The key ideas are, our thoughts, experiences, and environment can influence our biology by activating or deactivating specific genes. DNA and genes do not rigidly determine our destiny. Our experiences, choices, and perceptions can alter them. Expectations, beliefs, and the placebo effect can influence our physiology and activate body changes. Our minds can affect our bodies in measurable ways. Genes are sections of DNA that code for proteins. They are the instructions for building and maintaining our bodies. The human genome contains about 23,000 genes. This is fewer than scientists initially thought were needed to create human complexity. Genes do not directly determine traits or cause diseases. They work together in complex networks and are influenced by the environment. Genes can be turned on and off based on experiences, behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. Different types of genes are activated in different ways. New experiences and learning activate experience-dependent genes. They are involved in healing and growth. Emotional states, stress, and levels of awareness or consciousness activate behavioral state-dependent genes. They connect the mind and body. Environmental signals can activate or deactivate genes. Up to 90% of genes are engaged with environmental cues. We have much more genetic potential than we currently use. We only actively express about 1.5% of our DNA. The rest remains dormant. Our choices, behaviors, experiences, and environments shape our gene expression and biology. We can optimize our gene expression and health through our subjective states of mind and conscious behaviors. Gene expression can change within a single generation. Genes are not rigid determinants of our fate. They represent a storehouse of possibilities that we can tap into based on the signals we provide through our life experiences. We have more control over our gene expression and health than previously realized. Scientists used to think much of the human genome was junk DNA with no known function. However, they now know that some of this DNA makes regulatory proteins. Genes do not fully determine our characteristics. Other factors like our beliefs, thoughts, and environment can strongly influence on our health, longevity, and happiness. Several factors can turn genes on and off, including chemical messengers from outside the cell. These messengers modify or create new proteins that then activate specific genes. Once a gene is turned on, it produces RNA, which assembles new proteins. These proteins then carry out essential functions in the cell and body. Epigenetics studies how factors outside of our DNA can influence gene expression. Signals from the environment and our thoughts and feelings can turn genes on or off through DNA methylation. Epigenetics shows that our genes do not doom us. We can change our genetic destiny by modifying the signals that turn genes on and off. Identical twins have the same DNA but often have different health outcomes and gene expression based on their environments and life experiences. This demonstrates how epigenetics work. In summary, nature, our DNA, and nurture, our environment and experiences, work together to shape who we become and our health. While we can't change our DNA, we can change many signals that influence how our genes are expressed through our thoughts, choices, behaviors, and lifestyles. Our experiences and the meaning we assign to them produce biological changes, including epigenetic variations, that influence how our genes are expressed. Studies show people can alter the expression of hundreds of genes in a short period through lifestyle and environmental changes. These epigenetic changes may even be passed down through generations. For example, a study found that male rats exposed to pesticides in the womb had fertility and sperm issues, which persisted for 4 generations. While we can't control our external environment, we can influence our internal environment through our perceptions, beliefs, and reactions. This influence, in turn, impacts our genes. As long as we perceive and react to life similarly, we limit our genetic possibilities. A new reaction or perception is needed to activate different gene expressions. Stress, in particular, causes epigenetic changes by keeping the body in survival mode in the fight or flight response. Short-term stress is meant to be adaptive, but long-term stress has many adverse health effects. It reduces the body's ability to heal and thrive by directing resources away from cell growth, repair, and maintenance. Studies show long-term stress alters hundreds of genes, including wound-healing genes. In summary, while our genes provide possibilities, our perceptions and experiences ultimately determine our genetic destiny. We can transform our lives by changing our mind and reactions. Our thoughts, emotions, and experiences can activate or deactivate specific genes through epigenetic mechanisms. This means we have some control over our genetic expression. When we are constantly in survival mode or stressed, our body focuses on our physical needs, environment, and time. This makes us less spiritual, aware, and mindful. It also causes us to become more self-absorbed and materialistic. Chronic stress causes our cells and ego to become more selfish to ensure survival. This leads to feelings of separation, self-indulgence, and self-importance. Our body, environment, and time define our sense of self. However, we can change our genetic expression through our thoughts, choices, emotions, experiences, and intentions. When we focus our intention on a future outcome, our brain may not distinguish it from reality. This can cause our body to react as if the outcome has already happened, signaling new genes. This way, we can activate genes ahead of actual environmental changes based on our perceptions and beliefs. Our intentions and emotions can give our body a glimpse of the future before it manifests. The key idea is that we have more control over our genetic destiny than we may realize. Our thoughts and experiences are constantly activating and deactivating genes epigenetically. And when we channel our intention and emotion, we can activate genes before environmental changes. Our choices and mindset significantly affect our health and biological expression. Here's a summary of the key points. Mentally rehearse and repeatedly imagine the future event you desire. Practice it in your mind over and over until it becomes familiar. The more details and sensory information you can include, the more effective it will be. Couple your thoughts and mental imagery with positive emotions like joy or gratitude. This gives your body a taste of that future experience through neurochemistry. Focus your mind on this future event without distraction. This turns down the neural circuits connected to your current self and activates new neural circuits related to your desired future self. Your brain and body will start to believe the imagined event is actual and happening in the present moment. Your brain and body are now living in that new future rather than the past. With practice, your brain will rewire to reflect what you have imagined. New neural connections are formed, and your mind and body work together to manifest that new future. Remove external stimulation, go beyond your physical body, and transcend time limits. Make significant changes at the neurological level through imagination alone. When you present yourself to the world again, your mind and body will work together to create in reality what you first created in your mind. Studies show that mental rehearsal alone can stimulate brain regions, build neural connections, and increase physical strength. The brain and body respond as if the imagined event happened. So in summary, the key is to repeatedly imagine in vivid detail the future event you want to experience until your mind and body come to believe it as accurate and start living in that new reality, even before it manifests physically. With mental practice, you are giving your brain and body a taste of a new destiny, and they will work together to create it. Thoughts can influence the body in powerful ways. Several studies show that mental rehearsal, vividly imagining physical activities, can strengthen muscles and improve physical performance. In one study, people who imagined flexing one of their biceps increased biceps muscle strength by over 13% in a few weeks. When we focus our mind on a particular intention, our frontal lobe takes over and wires new connections between neurons in different parts of the brain to create new levels of mind that reflect what we are imagining. Combining this focused intention with an elevated emotion produces neuropeptides that signal our cells and DNA in new ways. Our DNA responds by activating specific genes that produce healthy new proteins, and deactivating other genes. This process, known as epigenetics, allows our thoughts and emotions to influence our biology directly. Stem cells are undifferentiated cells in our body that can turn into any type of cell, such as muscle, bone, or skin. They help explain extraordinary healing from the placebo effect. When we have clear intention and nurturing emotion, it sends the right signals to stem cells to differentiate into healthy new cells. But when we have interference from negative emotions like anger, the calls to our stem cells get disrupted, impairing healing. In summary, our thoughts and emotions directly affect our biology through epigenetic signaling and stem cell activation. Mental rehearsal and focused intention, combined with an elevated feeling, can significantly influence our physical health and performance for the better. The emotional component is not required but can enhance the results of mental rehearsal. Strong, positive emotions can speed up changes in the body and activate more dramatic results. Studies show positive emotions can upregulate genes, increase vagal tone, a measure of autonomic nervous system health, spur neurogenesis, and boost the immune system. The placebo effect shows how positive thoughts and heightened emotions about a new future can signal the body as if that future has already happened. This was seen in the case of Mr. Wright, whose tumors disappeared when he thought he was getting a new miracle drug. His positive thoughts and excitement created fundamental physiological changes. We should cultivate positive emotions like gratitude, joy, awe, and compassion. These release oxytocin, which reduces fear and anxiety, and promotes healing and well-being. Mental rehearsal, combined with positive emotion, allows us to unplug from our usual states of being and open our minds to new possibilities. We can then embrace our unique visions and make them feel real. The elderly monks could reverse aging by fully immersing themselves and pretending to be younger. Their positive thoughts and emotions led to epigenetic changes reflecting their youthful appearance. By eliminating reminders of their older ages and focusing on thoughts and feelings of youth, their bodies responded accordingly. Here's a summary. Researchers experimented to see if they could hypnotize a law-abiding person to become an assassin. They started with 185 volunteers and narrowed it down to one highly suggestible subject, Ivan Santiago. Santiago passed tests showing high suggestibility, including stripping down to his underwear in a restaurant and sitting in a bathtub of ice water for over 2 minutes while staying hypnotic. The researchers staged an elaborate scenario outside a hotel involving a foreign dignitary, paparazzi, and SUVs. Santiago was told he was done with the experiment but was hypnotized again without his knowledge. Under hypnosis, Santiago was instructed to grab a gun from a backpack, wait for the dignitary to emerge from the hotel, and shoot him. He was told he would then forget everything. Santiago followed through, shooting the stuntman posing as the dignitary. The researchers found that hypnosis could get even a morally upstanding person to commit a violent act. After being brought out of hypnosis, Santiago did not remember the events. The researchers concluded that some people can be highly manipulable through hypnosis. That's the summary and critical details of the hypnotic assassin experiment conducted on Ivan Santiago. Please let me know if you want me to clarify or expand on any summary part. Ivan Silver implanted auditory and physical triggers that would send Ivan Santiago into a hypnotic state where he would follow Silver's post-hypnotic suggestions. Silver told Santiago that when he left the building, a man would shake his hand and say, "Ivan, you did a spectacular job." Silver instructed Santiago to nod if he understood, and Santiago complied. When Santiago left the building, the man did approach him, say the phrase, and shake his hand. This triggered Santiago to enter the hypnotic state. In the hypnotic state, Santiago calmly picked up a backpack, walked over to paparazzi, and shot a man in the chest with a gun from the pack. The man was an actor and collapsed dramatically. Silver then brought Santiago out of the hypnotic state. Santiago had no memory of what happened until Silver suggested he would remember. Like those in the placebo effect studies, Santiago's subconscious mind was influenced and altered by the suggestion, allowing his body to do things his conscious mind could not, such as remain unflinching in an ice bath. For the placebo effect and hypnosis to work, there must be acceptance, belief, and surrender to the outcome. The subconscious mind then produces physiological changes and products that the conscious mind alone could not achieve. Not everyone is equally suggestible or responsive to placebos and hypnosis. Acceptance of the possibility of change is critical. For some, familiar thoughts and feelings prevent acceptance of new opportunities. But shifting to new ideas and feelings can help overcome this. The placebo patients and Santiago accessed an operating system in the body that already knew how to make the necessary physiological changes. Their role was to plant the seed, then the system took over automatically. Suggestibility requires 3 elements: acceptance, belief and surrender. We can achieve more significant results when we accept an idea, believe in it, and surrender to it without constantly analyzing or worrying. Suggestibility is making thought into an experience that elicits a physical response. Emotions enhance suggestibility. Intense emotions make us more receptive to ideas and therefore more suggestible. Emotions activate the limbic or emotional brain, which controls the autonomic nervous system. Feeling emotion allows us to bypass the conscious mind and start the subconscious. Positive emotions like gratitude are potent for increasing suggestibility because they make the body feel like the desired outcome has already happened. There is an inverse relationship between analytical thinking and suggestibility. Analytical thinking examines, questions, and applies past learning to new situations. It works by creating meaning between our inner and outer experiences. More analysis is needed to reduce suggestibility. While the analytical mind is useful, excess stress-driven analysis can reduce suggestibility. The analytical mind works best when calm and focused. In summary, we can leverage the power of suggestibility by accepting an idea, believing in it and surrendering to it with positive emotion rather than excessive analysis. Suggestibility allows the mind to make thoughts into experiences that change the body's responses. Managing analytical thinking and cultivating positive emotions are keys to enhancing suggestibility. The analytical mind and ego are extensions of our conscious mind that help us make decisions, learn, scrutinize information, judge situations, determine purpose and morality, and evaluate sensory data. However, when overstimulated by stress, the analytical mind can work against us by becoming overanalytical, self-centered, controlling, and fearful of the unknown. This limits our suggestibility to new ideas and outcomes. The conscious mind includes our explicit memories, declarative memories of knowledge and experiences, making up about 5% of the mind. The subconscious mind has implicit memories, procedural memory for skills and habits, making up 95% of the mind. The operating system governs our automatic behaviors, emotional reactions, and conditioned responses. Implicit memories are developed through emotional experiences, impactful one-time events, or repetition. Accessing emotions opens the door to the subconscious mind. Our thoughts and feelings correspond, so feeling a certain way activates related ideas, and those familiar thoughts we accept and believe shape our suggestibility. Changing how we think can increase our suggestibility to new ideas. The key takeaway is that the analytical mind works with the ego to protect us, but too much stimulation limits our openness to new possibilities. The subconscious mind and implicit memories are best accessed through emotions, and changing our emotional state can open us up to new ways of thinking. Managing our mind and suggestibility requires balancing analytical thinking with openness to new ideas. When you feel emotions, you activate your implicit memory and autonomic nervous system. You can allow your autonomic nervous system to restore balance. Many people in placebo studies used emotions to reprogram their autonomic nervous system by thought alone. Emotions influence their suggestibility. The thickness of your analytical mind determines your suggestibility. A thinner analytical mind means higher suggestibility. A thicker analytical mind tells lower suggestibility. Neither is inherently better. A balance is ideal. To increase suggestibility, you must open the door between your conscious and subconscious mind. This requires accepting, believing and surrendering to a suggestion. It allows the idea to signal your autonomic nervous system. Meditation, like hypnosis, moves your awareness beyond your analytical mind into your subconscious mind and autonomic nervous system. The purpose of meditation is to move from conscious to subconscious, selfish to selfless, somebody to nobody, material to immaterial, place to no place, and time to no time. It moves from outer to inner reality, from survival to creation, separation to connection, imbalance to balance, and limiting emotions to expansive emotions. To meditate, you quiet your mind by stopping the customary firing of neural networks in your thinking brain. You move your consciousness from your neocortex to your limbic brain and subconscious. You cease your analytical thinking and rational mind. This is challenging because your analytical mind relies on your senses and focuses on your body, environment, and time. When stressed, you overfocus on these. Meditation requires the opposite. The key is to no longer let your thinking brain drive and to become an observer of your choices, habits and behaviors. You must realize you are more than your analytical mind. It is easy to believe that what we directly experience through our senses is all there is to reality. But our perception of the world is limited and shaped by our beliefs and experiences. There is much more beyond our immediate senses. We tend to become addicted to the stress and drama of our outer world, because our bodies are wired to focus on perceived threats. This reinforces the feeling that the external world is more accurate than our inner experience. To access our inner world, we must move into more suggestible brain states, like alpha and theta. The brain produces different frequencies of electromagnetic waves that correspond to varying states of consciousness. Beta, normal waking consciousness. Analytic mind is active. Outer world feels most authentic. Alpha, relaxed, creative state. Easier to access inner experience. Theta, dreamy, twilight state between waking and sleeping. Most suggestible brain state, where we can access the subconscious mind. Inner world feels most authentic. Delta, deep, dreamless sleep. No conscious awareness. Gamma, heightened state of awareness and insight. With practice, we can learn to move between these brain states. Spending more time in alpha and theta makes reprogramming our subconscious minds and having dominion over our bodies more accessible. A hypnosis study found a spectrum of suggestibility in subjects. Based on post-hypnotic suggestion alone, the most suggestible subject, Ivan Santiago, could remain in extreme physical conditions for a long time. He demonstrated an ability to be greater than his physical and moral environment, similar to what is required to use the placebo effect through the mind-body connection effectively. In summary, while we tend to be addicted to the outer world and limited by our senses, we can tap into more suggestible brain states where our inner experience becomes most real. This allows us to reprogram our subconscious minds and regain control and dominion over our bodies and experiences. Here is a summary of Chapter 7. Beliefs are subconscious states of being derived from the past. They are formed by stringing together thoughts and feelings over time until they become habitual. The glass-eating boy, snake-handling preachers, and firewalkers have absolute belief in protecting their gods, leaving no room for doubt. This belief allows them to do seemingly impossible feats without harm. The placebo effect also relies on solid beliefs. Research has focused on the effects of placebos rather than the beliefs that cause the effects. The question is, what can create profound changes in the body and mind, and can we cultivate it? Our beliefs are not always conscious. We may accept an idea intellectually but not believe it is possible deep down. Calling on the placebo effect requires changing subconscious beliefs about what is possible for our health and bodies. When people get a medical diagnosis, they often automatically accept it and the prognosis, believe the doctor, and surrender to the suggested treatment, leading to fear, worry, and sadness. People who heal themselves do not accept the diagnosis and prognosis, believe in the outcome, or surrender to it. They remain optimistic and see new possibilities. Saying you'll beat an illness is not enough. Truly changing a belief requires changing subconscious programs. Most people do not know how to do this and remain resting, unable to change their bodies and perceptions. Doctors' diagnoses and prognoses can become like voodoo curses if people accept, believe, and surrender to them without question. Your past experiences form your beliefs and perceptions and become programmed in your mind. They influence how you see the world. For example, as a child, the author believed Jesus was Italian because of her experiences growing up in an Italian family. It was hard to change this belief when she found out he was Jewish. Your beliefs and perceptions become implicit and subconscious over time. You perceive the world automatically based on past experiences. For example, you know your car well and smell it a certain way because you drive it daily, but someone else may perceive the exact vehicle differently based on their experiences. To change implicit perceptions and beliefs, you must become more conscious of them. But this is hard because if you have the same experiences, you will continue forming the same thoughts and perceptions. Many of the beliefs and perceptions we hold are limiting and not actually true. We accept them unconsciously from environmental cues and the past. For example, being told men are better at math may lead women to believe it and perform worse. Common limiting beliefs include believing you are not innovative or creative, life is hard, you never have enough time, your pain will never go away, etc. These came from the past but may not be true now. We are addicted to our beliefs and see them as truth, even if there is evidence to the contrary. Cultural beliefs are a good example, like believing in voodoo curses. In summary, your beliefs and perceptions influence how you see the world, but many are limiting and not necessarily true. You have to become conscious of them to change them. A study of nearly 30,000 Chinese Americans found that those born in years associated with susceptibility to certain diseases were more likely to die of those diseases at a younger age. For example, those born in years related to lymphatic cancer died of that cancer 4 years younger. This suggests that cultural beliefs and expectations can make people more suggestible to specific health outcomes. However, suggestibility only works for things people already believe to be accurate, consciously or unconsciously. Someone who does not believe in a particular cultural tradition would not be suggestible to notions derived from that tradition. Beliefs are often implanted in the subconscious mind and can have physical effects, even if a person is unaware. Changing one's beliefs can be difficult, but it is possible. It requires accepting that change is possible, energizing the new belief with solid emotion, allowing one's biology to reorganize itself accordingly. Recalling a time when you were determined to change something about yourself can help demonstrate how this works. When you commit to change with enough energy and finality, your body and mind can move past previous habits and patterns. Perceptions of past experiences, whether positive or negative, also directly impact health and biology. A study found that Cambodian women who had witnessed extreme atrocities during the reign of the Khmer Rouge suffered psychosomatic blindness or vision loss, even though their eyes were physically normal. Reliving traumatic memories caused neurological and chemical changes that altered their perceptions and state of being. While extreme, This shows how the perception of past events can brand our brains and bodies, causing us to get stuck in the past and unable to change. Reinforcing new beliefs and perceptions repeatedly is key to overcoming this and making lasting change. The placebo effect that caused Parkinson's patients to produce more dopamine wore off for some patients when they returned to their familiar environments and routines. Their old associations caused them to revert to their previous state and symptoms returned. Familiar environments and cues can activate addictive behaviors and physiological responses through conditioning and associative memory. For example, seeing an espresso machine can trigger cravings in a former coffee addict. A study found that students who thought they were drinking vodka in a bar-like setting exhibited signs of intoxication and felt drunk even though they only consumed tonic water. Their beliefs and expectations caused a physiological change. The environment and cues from it can also have positive effects, such as the view from a hospital window being linked to less need for pain medication and shorter stays. To overcome conditioning from the environment and old states of being, it may help to change your internal state daily before facing your familiar environment. Techniques like meditation and visualization may be useful for achieving an optimistic state of mind and new emotions to prompt change. Not all health issues are caused by thoughts and beliefs. Genetics, trauma, accidents, and environmental toxins are also factors. But for some conditions, changing your mindset and state of being may help overcome them. The classical view of reality as something fixed and predictable has given way to the quantum view, which sees reality as fluid, interconnected energy and information. Newtonian physics studies the physical, material world and is based on predictable laws, like the paths of planets and acceleration of falling objects. In contrast, quantum physics studies the subatomic world of atoms and energy. Atoms are 99.99999999999% empty space filled with energy and information. So the physical universe is essentially energy and information. When physicists tried to study the small amount of matter in atoms, it disappeared. They found that the subatomic particles that make up atoms behave in strange, unpredictable ways. They act as both particles and waves, and their properties change based on whether they are observed. So quantum objects have a strange duality and exist in a superposition of multiple states until measured. Reality is not fixed but shifts based on our consciousness and intentions. The quantum universe is deeply interconnected, with every part instantly affecting the whole. This interconnectedness transcends space and time. So reality is fluid, not fixed, consciousness helps shape it, and we are all deeply connected in this energetic web of information. The quantum model thus reveals that consciousness and matter are not separate. Consciousness plays an active role in creating reality. Mind and matter exist as an inseparable continuum. This continuum of mind and matter is essentially energy and information. So consciousness and energy are tightly linked. By changing our energy and consciousness, we can influence matter and reality. In summary, quantum physics shows us that reality is fluid and interconnected, that consciousness and matter shape each other, and that by changing our consciousness, we can influence reality through the deep connections between mind, matter, energy, and information. This forms the scientific basis for changing our biology through the placebo effect and mind-over-matter abilities. Matter at the subatomic quantum level behaves very strangely and unlike the normal matter we experience. It seems chaotic, unpredictable, and disregards time and space. Subatomic matter is fleeting, existing as possibilities or probabilities. There are no absolute physical things at the quantum level. Observing subatomic particles can affect and change their behavior. They exist simultaneously in many possible states until observed, when they settle into a particular state. When unobserved, they return to existing in many possible states. According to the observer effect, matter cannot exist independently of observation. It pops in and out of existence based on whether it is being observed. So mind and matter are intimately connected at the quantum level. Mind can affect objective reality. If subatomic matter makes up everything, then everything is constantly popping in and out of existence. All possibilities simultaneously exist, and observation can collapse them into a particular reality. So we can potentially manifest any future we can imagine. Mental rehearsal of a future can help bring it into being. Where attention goes, energy flows. We default to creating more of the same based on what we habitually observe and attend to. We can intentionally shift our energy and observations to manifest new realities. This is the quantum basis for the placebo effect. Atoms emit electromagnetic energy of different frequencies, like radio waves, infrared, visible light, UV, X-rays, and gamma rays. Each frequency carries different information. Atoms can be thought of as vortices of energy. The faster the vibration or spin, the higher the frequency and energy, and the less physical the atom becomes. Slower frequencies correspond more to physical matter. Though the physical world seems solid, it is mostly energy unified with matter in the quantum field. Everything radiates a unique energy signature based on its atoms and frequencies. We broadcast information as electromagnetic energy based on our being. By shifting our energy/frequency, we can change our experience of reality. Your physical body is made up of atoms and molecules. These organize into cells, tissues, organs, and systems. There are invisible fields of information and energy that orchestrate the functions of your cells, tissues, organs, and systems. These fields allow your body to operate in a coherent, harmonious manner. According to the quantum model of biology, disease occurs when the frequency of your body slows down and becomes incoherent. Your body becomes more matter and less energy. There is less consciousness and information available to your cells. Your body breaks down as it tries futilely to change itself. When you have an elevated emotional or creative state, you increase your energy and frequency. You become more energy and less matter, more wave and less particle. This gives your cells access to more information and consciousness. Higher, coherent frequencies represent health. Slower, incoherent frequencies represent disease. By increasing your energy and frequency, you can move from disease to health. You can think of this as many fans spinning together in a room. When spinning coherently at the same frequency, they hum together harmoniously. When spinning incoherently at different frequencies, they clank and clatter out of sync. Your cells operate similarly, with coherent frequencies representing health and incoherent frequencies representing disease. By changing your energy through firm intention and elevated emotional states, you increase your frequency and coherence. This allows you to rewrite the programming in your body and lift matter to a new mind. Your body then responds to this new energy and information. That covers the key ideas around how your energy, frequency, coherence, and information interact with the physical matter of your body according to the quantum model of biology. Please let me know if you would like me to clarify or expand on any part of the summary. Here's a summary of Lori's story. Lori was diagnosed with a rare degenerative bone disease called polyostotic fibrous dysplasia at age 19. In this condition, normal bone is replaced with fibrous tissue, causing bones to weaken and fracture easily. Lori's disease manifested in her right leg and hip. She had been limping for a year before getting diagnosed, not realizing she had broken her femur. Upon diagnosis, Lori's life changed dramatically. Her doctor told her she was very fragile and vulnerable to fractures. He instructed her to use crutches and scheduled her for surgery. Lori and her mother were devastated by the news. Lori strictly followed her doctor's orders to avoid more fractures. She had to quit her internship and spent her time going to medical appointments instead. Her father had her see many specialists, but they all gave the same prognosis. The last doctor Lori saw disagreed with the recommended surgery, saying it would only strengthen the weakened area and worsen fractures elsewhere. He suggested bisphosphonate drugs and physical therapy instead. Lori felt helpless and hopeless. She believed she would end up wheelchair-bound for life. She went into a depression and stopped fighting for herself. A friend suggested Lori try alternative therapies. Lori found an acupuncturist/herbalist, who told her to stop seeing her disease as a limitation. He suggested visualization, meditation, and qigong. Lori committed to the alternative treatments and practices. Within a month, she started walking without crutches. Her pain decreased and mobility increased over time. After a year, her condition stabilized, and she avoided surgery. Lori learned that by changing her thoughts and energy, she could influence her body and health. She transformed her belief in her limitations into an openness to possibility. Her recovery taught her the power of mind and spirit. That's the summary and progression of Lori's journey in overcoming her disease and perceived limitations. The key was shifting her mindset and energy through alternative therapies and practices focused on visualization, meditation, and gentle movement. By changing her thoughts and beliefs, she was able to positively influence her health and heal. Here's a summary. Lori was diagnosed with fibrous dysplasia, a bone disease, at age 19 after breaking her leg. Doctors told her the disease was incurable and she would likely continue experiencing fractures for life. Lori's father was abusive, and her disease protected her from further physical abuse. However, the emotional abuse continued for years. The trauma from her childhood caused her to associate feelings of weakness, vulnerability and fear with her disease. Lori's disease became her identity. She relied on special treatment and used her disease to manipulate situations to her benefit. She went into denial about the disease for a while but eventually became very sedentary and felt removed from life. By her 30s, Lori's disease significantly worsened. She experienced frequent fractures, back problems, and arthritis. She had to quit jobs and give up many activities. She was exhausted from constantly trying to control her environment and prevent fractures. Her world became very narrow. Lori tried various alternative treatments to heal, but nothing worked. She felt hopeless that her condition could improve. In 2009, Lori met the author and became interested in the possibility of creating a new life. She attended the author's workshops on personal change. That covers the key details about Lori's background, disease progression, mental/emotional state, and introduction to new possibilities for change. Please let me know if you would like me to clarify or expand on any part of the summary. Lori attended personal development workshops and applied the principles she learned to improve her health and life. At first, she struggled to change her thoughts and beliefs due to her long history of illness. However, she persevered by stopping discussing her diagnosis, focusing on her future goals, monitoring her thoughts, and repeating affirmations. Over 2 years, Lori's efforts started paying off. She had a profound meditative experience that reduced her fear and gave her a sense of divine connection. Her health and mobility improved, and her doctors found her long-time bone fracture was partially healing. Lori realized her mind was healing her body. By changing her thoughts and emotions, she altered her brain, genes, and body. She continued meditating, attending workshops, and making small lifestyle changes to reinforce her new mindset. While she still had some pain, her symptoms decreased significantly. Through diligent mental and emotional work, Lori transformed her health and life. Because Candace hadn't known how to change her beliefs and emotional reactions, she became trapped in an unhealthy relationship and damaging lifestyle. She reacted to stress and conflict with extreme emotions like anger, fear, and insecurity. Over time, living in this constant state of emotional turmoil and stress took a toll on her physically and mentally. Her hair started falling out, she gained weight, suffered migraines and pain, had trouble sleeping, and struggled to concentrate. Though Candace sensed her physical ailments were caused by her emotional state and unhealthy relationship, she felt unable to escape the cycle of destructive thoughts and behavior she was stuck in. Candace was in a dysfunctional relationship that caused her a lot of stress and negative emotions for over a year. The chronic stress caused her to develop Hashimoto's disease, an autoimmune condition where the immune system attacks the thyroid gland. She was diagnosed in November 2010. The doctor told Candace the condition was genetic and incurable. She would need to be on medication for life and her antibody levels would never change. Candace realized she had created this illness through her own negative thoughts and stress. She decided to leave the unhealthy relationship 5 months after the diagnosis. Candace rejected the doctor's diagnosis and prognosis. She knew that she could change her beliefs and rewrite her biology. She embarked on her own journey to heal herself. Candace meditated daily, worked to overcome frustrations, and conditioned her body and mind to a new positive state of being. She applied lessons from workshops and books on epigenetics and neuroplasticity. It was difficult, but Candace persevered. She became less moody and temperamental. She felt gratitude for life and harmony in her being. She knew she was no longer the same person who had created the illness. Over time, Candace healed herself through a dedication to change her thoughts and beliefs. Her antibody levels decreased and her health improved. She proved that the mind and body are connected, and we have power over our biology. Candace was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, an autoimmune condition, and put on medication. However, she wanted to heal herself naturally. She began daily meditation and worked to transmute her negative emotions into positive ones. This helped change her biochemistry and prime her body for healing. Within 7 months, her blood tests came back normal and she no longer needed medication. Her doctor was amazed at her recovery. Candace explained that by maintaining a positive emotional state, she was able to signal new, healthy genes instead of the old unhealthy ones. She learned to stop reacting negatively to everything around her. Candace's entire life transformed as a result. She developed a loving relationship, new friendships and business opportunities. Her disease belonged to her old self. She had become someone else. The key lesson Candace learned was that her disease and challenges were never about external factors, they were about her and the state of being she was in. Taking responsibility for herself was empowering and transformative. Joanne was a successful 59-year-old businesswoman diagnosed with secondary progressive MS after collapsing. She had ignored symptoms for years, attributing them to her busy lifestyle. Joanne went through a difficult period prior to her diagnosis, with financial and emotional struggles that significantly impacted her health and well-being. MS is an autoimmune disease in which the nerve cell coverings in the brain and spine are damaged, causing a range of physical and cognitive problems. Joanne was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, a progressive neurological disease that was incurable. Her condition caused increasing disability and reliance on mobility aids. Joanne pushed herself for years to achieve and support others, ignoring her own health and happiness. She finally collapsed from exhaustion. While bedridden, Joanne started mentally rehearsing doing yoga and walking. This allowed her to start actually doing some physical activity again. She realized she had been sad, angry and unfulfilled for a long time. Joanne attended workshops where she was encouraged to set the intention to heal and feel the emotion of being well. She felt her body start to change during a meditation. She was able to stand up and walk unassisted, feeling free and joyful. Joanne realized she had been identified with her disease and trying to fight it. When she let go of that identity, she experienced wholeness and healing. She was able to disassociate from her disease. The key elements in Joanne's healing were mental rehearsal and visualization, setting intention, adding emotion and feeling the experience of being well, letting go of her diseased identity, and embracing wholeness. Her persistent and multi-pronged efforts allowed her to overcome an incurable disease. Joan, who had MS, attended a workshop and learned techniques to help her overcome negative thoughts and embrace positive emotions. After the workshop, she noticed she could move parts of her body she hadn't been able to in years. Within 2 years, she had regained the ability to walk and her symptoms had disappeared. Joanne was able to accomplish this through changing her mindset and beliefs. Without the use of any medication or treatment, she became her own placebo by changing from within. The chapter discusses how we can make the unknown known through belief and intentional thought. By focusing our mind on a healed state, we can bring that into reality. The placebo effect usually relies on belief in some external treatment, but we have the power to become our own placebo through shaping our inner experience. The chapter shares stories of workshop attendees who were able to create real biological and brain changes through thought and meditation alone. The key is providing people with scientific information about how our thoughts and beliefs shape our reality, and then teaching them techniques to apply that understanding in order to manifest new possibilities. The author wanted students in his workshops to gain a deeper, more experiential understanding of meditation and contemplation. Merely intellectual understanding was not enough. Students had to be able to explain and demonstrate their learnings, which then became more deeply embedded in their minds. By repeating these learnings, they created new neural pathways. Once students could apply their learnings, they could gain new insights from the experiences. By aligning their minds and bodies, they developed an emotional understanding of the concepts. Repeated experiences turned new learnings into skills and habits. Repeatable, documented experiences approached the level of scientific laws. The author taught students the biological effects of inner practices to give them a precise understanding of what they were doing. In 2013 workshops, the author measured students' transformations in real time. Students detached from their usual selves and practiced entering new states of being. The author aimed for students to transcend themselves and become pure consciousness. He saw them change ahead of their environments. The author worked with a neuroscientist, Jeffrey Fannin, to measure students' brain activity before and after the workshops. They measured qualities like coherence, amplitude, phase organization, time to enter meditation, theta/alpha and delta/theta ratios, and sustainability. They did over 400 EEG scans over 2 workshops. The data showed 91% of students had significantly improved brain function. Over 80% were in a normal, healthy range. Students became more coherent, balanced, and regulated. Students entered and stayed in meditation much faster than average, under a minute versus over 90 seconds. Some entered meditation in just 4 to 9 seconds. This showed students gained skill with practice and could quickly enter meditative states. In summary, the author used an immersive workshop approach to teach students meditation and contemplation. By measuring their brain activity before, during and after, he showed they gained a deep, experiential understanding and significant improvements in key measures of brain function. Students acquired the ability to quickly enter and sustain meditative states. The research shows consistent patterns in how the brain functions during meditation. In particular, there are alternating alpha and theta wave patterns in the frontal lobes, indicating balanced communication between the 2 brain hemispheres. This leads to feelings of gratitude and thankfulness. Experienced meditators show an increase in theta and alpha waves, indicating they can stay in altered states for longer. They also show greater coherence between frontal and posterior parts of the brain, linked to positive emotions. Observing a student's real-time brain scan, the author realized the student was having trouble meditating because she was using her conscious mind to try to change her subconscious mind. This does not work. To change, she needed to become pure consciousness, detached from her identity, body, and the passage of time. She needed to exist in the infinite field of possibilities in the present moment. 2 types of brain scans were used, scans showing degrees of activity and communication between different brain areas. Hyperactivity is shown in red, hypoactivity in blue. Thicker lines indicate greater dysregulation. Z-score reports using a scale from -3 to +3 standard deviations from normal. Colder colors like blue and green are below normal, warmer colors like yellow, orange and red are above normal. The reports show relative power, the amount of energy at different frequencies. More green indicates more normal brain wave activity. The circles represent a view from above of a person's head, with the upper left showing the lowest frequency delta waves, and the lower right showing the highest frequency beta waves. In summary, the research found consistent brain patterns during meditation, especially in experienced meditators. By becoming pure consciousness detached from identity and time, real change is possible. The brain scans provided insight into degrees of activity and regulation at different frequencies. Michelle is in her 60s and was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2011. She had been noticing worsening involuntary shaking and tremors. She started taking a medication called Isolect in 2012, but it produced few noticeable changes. She then started meditating and noticed significant improvements in her symptoms. In February 2013, Michelle's mother was hospitalized and eventually passed away. The stress caused Michelle's symptoms to return. She stopped meditating for a while but then restarted and again noticed improvements. Michelle's brain scans show that when she was stressed in February 2013, her brain was hyperactive and incoherent. After meditating, her brain activity became nearly normal and her symptoms decreased. Follow-up scans 3 months later still showed improvement. The scans show that meditating helped balance Michelle's brain activity, increasing alpha and beta waves. This allowed her to cope better with stress, influence autonomic functions, and decrease anxiety, which had previously made her symptoms worse. To summarize, meditating and reducing anxiety and stress helped balance Michelle's brain activity and decrease the severity of her Parkinson's disease symptoms. Her story shows how our internal states can influence our health and biology. Kathy suffered from depression and anxiety for over 20 years. She was overly analytical and relied heavily on logic and reasoning. She had a hard time experiencing joy and living in the present moment. Kathy's brain scans showed excessive activity in her analytical centers of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, as well as decreased activity in emotional and sensory areas of her brain. This pattern is common in individuals with anxiety and depression. After learning and practicing meditation and mindfulness techniques with Dr. Dispenza, Kathy experienced profound changes. Her brain scans showed decreased activity in analytical areas of her brain and increased activity and connectivity in emotional and sensory areas of her brain associated with the experience of joy and living in the present moment. Kathy reported feeling happier, less anxious, and more able to live in and enjoy the present moment. Her overly analytical mind had quieted, and she regained access to emotions and sensory experiences. She found more peace, joy, and compassion. Kathy's case demonstrates how mindfulness and meditation can lead to both subjective experiences of well-being and changes in brain activity and connectivity that support those experiences. Overcoming an overactive analytical mind and gaining access to the part of the self that experiences life in the present moment can help address anxiety, depression, and a lack of joy or meaning. In summary, meditation and mindfulness helped Kathy overcome her overactive analytical mind, gain access to her emotional and sensory self, increase her experience of joy and wonder in the present moment, and find greater peace and meaning in her life. Her brain scans confirm the very real changes that allowed these shifts in her experiences and perception. Kathy is a CEO, attorney and committed wife and mother. She is highly analytical and rational. She constantly anticipates outcomes and is always prepared. Before meditation, Kathy's brain was constantly active. She was never present and had a long to-do list. Her initial brain scans showed high activity in the back of her brain, indicating constant mental imagery and internal dialogue. After meditation, Kathy's brain became more balanced and coherent. Her follow-up scan 6 weeks later showed further improvement with no anxiety. Kathy reports feeling like a different person. She is happier, listens to her heart more and is less vigilant and reactionary. Bonnie had severe pain, heavy bleeding and fibroid tumors around age 40, like her mother. Doctors recommended hormone therapy, but Bonnie wanted to avoid that based on her mother's experience. Her bleeding would last up to 2 weeks and she became anemic. She was told the issues would continue indefinitely. During meditation at a workshop, Bonnie had a mystical experience. Her brain scan showed she entered a state of bliss. Follow-up scans showed high activity in her frontal lobe, indicating she was processing a lot of information and emotion, She entered an expanded state of consciousness. Within 24 hours of the meditation, Bonnie's bleeding stopped completely and has been normal since. She believes she was healed through the meditation. Genevieve is a 45-year-old artist who attended a meditation workshop. During a breathing exercise, she entered an ecstatic state. Her brain scan showed high activity in her frontal lobe, especially on the right side, indicating she was highly focused. She also showed increased activity in the visual processing centers of her brain, suggesting intense visualizations. Genevieve's experience demonstrates the ability to enter ecstatic states through meditation and focused breathing. Here are some key tips for preparing to meditate. Pick a time when you can meditate daily, either in the morning after waking up or in the evening before bed. These are naturally contemplative times when it's easier to settle into an altered state. Choose a quiet, distraction-free place for your meditation spot. Make sure it's a comfortable spot where you can sit for up to an hour without interruptions. Sit in a chair or on the floor. Don't lie down, to avoid falling asleep. Sit with your back straight and supported. Eliminate technology and strong scents. Turn off electronics, and avoid the smells of food or coffee. Consider soft instrumental music. If background noise is an issue, calming music without lyrics can help mask sounds while supporting your meditative state. Set a timer. Especially when you're first starting out, use a timer to prevent worrying about how long you've been meditating or when you need to finish. Start with 15 to 20 minutes a day. Have a journal handy. Write down your experiences, insights, and observations after meditating. Review your entries to see your progress and maintain motivation. Start with breath focus or mantra meditation. These are simple techniques to help quiet your mind and ease into a meditative state. You can explore other methods once you build up your practice. Be patient and gentle with yourself. Meditation takes practice. Don't judge yourself if you find it challenging. Your practice will deepen over time with regular use. Does this help summarize some useful tips for getting started with a meditation practice? Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm happy to provide more guidance and support. To prepare for meditation, dress comfortably and remove any distractions like jewelry or glasses. Use the bathroom before starting and have some water nearby. Sit up straight with your spine erect, either in a chair or on the floor. Relax your body but stay focused. Close your eyes, take deep breaths, and try to shift into an alpha brainwave state, which is more restful but still focused. With practice, you can achieve an even slower theta state. Allow 45 to 60 minutes for meditation. Set an alarm for 10 minutes before finishing to gently end the session. Don't worry too much about the time during meditation. To master your will, your body and mind will try to resist change and distract you. Gently but firmly refocus your attention each time it wanders, like training a horse. This reconditions your body and mind. Notice any emotions or physical sensations that arise and see them as part of the past. Relax into the present moment. Keep bringing your focus back to the present each time your mind starts planning, worrying or anticipating the future based on the past. You are training your body and mind. With practice, your body and mind will surrender distractions and work together during meditation, creating an empowering state of being. To achieve an altered state, our normal state is narrow, object-focused attention on the outer world, keeping us in a reactive beta brainwave state. This limits our ability to create, learn, heal, and meditate. Meditation uses open focus, a broader awareness of the inner and outer world. This allows a shift to slower, more integrated brainwave states like alpha and theta. In open focus, the brain and body communicate better, allowing access to inner wisdom and healing. Stress hormones decrease and growth hormones increase. With practice, open focus becomes second nature, allowing greater presence, insight and well-being in daily life. When our brain becomes imbalanced and incoherent, it sends disorderly messages to the rest of the body. As a result, none of the body's systems functions properly. The immune, digestive, and cardiovascular systems cannot determine how to respond and become unbalanced. This state of imbalance leads to disease and health conditions. The open focus technique helps create balance and coherence. By closing our eyes and sensing the space around us, our brain waves shift to a more restful state. The brain becomes more organized and synchronized, sending coherent signals to the body. Everything works together rhythmically, and we feel whole and balanced. Studies show this technique leads to consistent positive brain changes. In the present moment, all possibilities exist. But when we live habitually and make the same choices, we are not open to new possibilities. We wake up and go through the same routine actions and experiences, driven by memorized emotions that keep us stuck in the past. Our bodies are programmed to anticipate a predictable future based on the past. We can never find the present moment. To access new possibilities, we must forget the known, our habits, environment, identity, and remain in the unknown, as pure consciousness. Wherever we place our attention is where we place our energy. By focusing on the known, we continue the same patterns. To change, we must settle into the present moment. As we master settling our distracted body into the now, the past and predictable future disappear. There is no past to drive the future, allowing new possibilities to emerge. Here is a summary of the meditation. Part 1, Induction, 5 to 10 minutes. Use the open focus technique to become a thought alone in the quantum field. Release your identity and any attachments to the environment, the body, time, and space. Become no one, nothing, nowhere, in no place, and in no time. This allows you to access the potentials and possibilities of the quantum field. Part 2, First New Belief and Perception, 10 to 15 minutes. Review the first new belief and perception you want to adopt. Feel the elevated emotion of having this new belief and perception, allowing it to become your experience. Sense the energy and inspiration. Let your body respond to this new mind. Repeat this experience a few times to deepen the effect. Part 3, Second New Belief and Perception, 10 to 15 minutes. Repeat the process for your second new belief and perception. Review it, feel the elevated emotion of having it, and sense the energy and inspiration. Let your body respond to this new mind. Repeat this experience a few times. Part 4, Return and Summary, 5 to 10 minutes. Slowly bring your awareness back to your body and the space around you. Review how you have changed your state of being. Summarize the new beliefs and perceptions you now have about yourself. Feel gratitude for making a new beginning. The key to success is truly feeling the emotional signature of your new beliefs and perceptions, not just thinking about them but experiencing them with your whole being. When the body responds, you have made real change. This meditation provides an opportunity to liberate energy from old limiting beliefs and use it instead to vitalize new, empowering beliefs. The unknown, unmanifested realm becomes the fertile ground for new possibilities to sprout. By meditating in this way, you become a pioneer charting a new inner territory. The meditation has 3 main parts. Induction, this part helps you achieve a coherent and slower brainwave state through open focus meditation. This enhances your suggestibility and allows you to move beyond your analytical mind. Becoming possibility, this part helps you find the present moment by letting go of your identity, body, environment, and time. Lingering in this unknown state of possibility allows you to draw new potentials to you. Changing beliefs and perceptions, this part allows you to consciously choose and embrace new beliefs and perceptions about yourself and your life. By combining intention and elevated emotion, you can change your energy and biology. The overall purpose of the meditation is to move into new states of being where all possibilities exist and you can influence your health and life in new ways. Repeating this meditation over time can lead to life changes as your new beliefs and perceptions are actualized. Here's a summary. The past will no longer exist because a powerful new experience in the present overwrites the past experiences and memories. This new choice creates a long-term memory that you will never forget. You move from the past and present into the future where this new event has already happened. Do not try to figure out how or when this will happen. Just move into a new state of being and you will see the future you are creating. Repeat this process by changing additional beliefs and perceptions. Spend 20 to 30 minutes on this final part of the meditation. Decide to change a belief or perception with such firm intention that it overrides your brain's hardwired programs and emotional addictions. Let this choice become an unforgettable experience that rewrites these programs and changes your biology. Surrender the past and open to infinite possibilities. Choose a new belief and perceive how it would feel. Change your energy and raise your emotions so your biology changes. Let this new choice be more powerful than any past experience. Teach your body the feeling of this new future. Surrender your creation to a higher power. Repeat with another belief or perception you want to change. Make a firm decision, have an unforgettable experience, and change your energy and biology. Perceive a new belief and how it feels. Let your body feel the new future. Surrender to a higher power. Place your hand over your heart and bless your body, life, future, past, adversities, soul, and the divine in and around you. Give thanks for your new life so your body experiences that future now. Memorize this feeling. Open your eyes. This process relies on faith and believing in thoughts more than external conditions. Accept a thought and surrender to the outcome, living as if your prayers have already been answered. This is like the placebo effect, where belief alone creates change. Thought combined with emotion becomes reality. As we have experiences and gain wisdom, we evolve. Here is a summary of the passage. Our reflection and perception of ourselves in the mirror depends on our mindset and consciousness. Life presents opportunities for personal growth and transcending our limitations. This requires abandoning familiar ways of thinking and embracing discomfort. Becoming supernatural involves demonstrating qualities like giving in times of lack, loving in times of anger, courage in times of fear, kindness in times of hostility. This gives others permission to do the same through mirror neurons. Finding wholeness and self-love allows amazing things to materialize. Letting go of wanting and trying leads to tapping into something greater. The author aims to contribute to personal growth and has seen people of all backgrounds transform by overcoming self-limiting beliefs. Emergence in biology shows how collectives can act as one, like schools of fish. If many humans align with possibility and universal laws, a new consciousness can emerge. Living passionately and changing the world is possible if many make an effort to overcome selfishness and conditioning. Science and self-interest are questionable, so we must find our own truth. Imagining billions living as one and uplifting thoughts of unlimited possibility could create an enlightened world living open-heartedly instead of fear-based. This is the author's vision. The key messages here are: become aware of the space around and within your body. Sense the volume and energy of that space. Relax into a state of pure consciousness. Let go of your body, identity, emotions, thoughts of past and future. Rest in a state of infinite possibility. Allow new possibilities to emerge. Choose new beliefs and perceptions about yourself that serve you better. Make the choice with intention and emotion to rewrite your mental and physical habits. Feel what it's like to hold those new beliefs. Let your body respond to the new mindset. Open your heart to new possibilities. Surrender your desires and new beliefs to a greater intelligence. Plant seeds of possibility and allow them to manifest in the right way and right time. Continuously bring awareness and intention to the present moment. Let go of past and future. Shape your reality and biology with your energy and consciousness. The overall message is about using awareness, intention, emotion and surrender to shift into more empowering beliefs and states of being. This allows you to move towards new possibilities and shape your reality in a more conscious way. Here is a summary of the meditation. Rest your awareness in the space between and around your body parts and sense the energy of space. Become no one, no body, no thing, nowhere and no time. Surrender into the void of possibilities. Linger in the unknown. Decide to change a limiting belief or perception about yourself. Make that choice with intense intention and elevated emotion to overcome your body's conditioned programs and addictions. Surrender that old belief to the field of possibilities, returning it to energy. Choose a new, empowering belief and feel what it's like to have that belief. Allow your body to be lifted to this new mindset. Let this choice rewrite your neural circuits and change your genes. Emotionally teach your body this new state of being. Experience how it feels to believe in possibilities, to be empowered, courageous, unlimited, etc. Signal new genes in new ways. Your energy affects your physical body. From this new state of being, live differently. Make new choices and have new experiences. Love your new future into being. Place your attention on what you want to create. Bless your body, life, adversity, soul, and the divine within you. Give thanks for this new life before it's made manifest. Gratitude means it has already happened. Memorize this feeling and bring your awareness back to your body in the present, ready to live from this new state of being. Here is a summary of the key points. Placebo effects are real and can be as powerful as actual medical treatments. Placebos work by engaging the mind's own healing mechanisms. Expectation, belief, and conditioning all play a role. Placebo effects have been shown with pain, depression, anxiety, Parkinson's disease, asthma, ulcers, and many other conditions. In some studies, placebos worked as well as actual drugs. The placebo effect shows the power of the mind to influence the body. Expectation, belief, and conditioning can activate neurotransmitters, hormones, and other physiological responses. The placebo effect demonstrates the self-healing potential within all of us. Laughter, positive emotions, relaxation, and many other mind-body interventions can also activate placebo-like self-healing mechanisms. Our thoughts, beliefs, and expectations influence our health and well-being. The effectiveness of many conventional medical treatments depends in part on the placebo effect. This includes antidepressants, painkillers, and surgery. Placebo influences should be considered in evaluating any treatment. The placebo effect highlights the importance of the mind-body connection and the need for an integrated perspective of health that includes both psychological and physiological factors. Our beliefs, thoughts, and expectations can significantly influence our well-being and health outcomes. There is no single mechanism for the placebo effect. It arises from complex interactions between expectation, conditioning, learning, memory, motivation, and psychosocial factors. Neurochemistry, immune responses, and other physiological pathways are involved. The placebo effect shows the power of the mind to activate healing. Does this summary adequately capture the key points about the placebo effect and mind-body healing? Let me know if you would like me to clarify or expand on any part of this summary. The study examines how the placebo effect influences the human body and brain. Placebos, or simulated treatments with no active ingredients, can have measurable physiological and psychological effects. The placebo effect shows the power of mind-body interactions and expectations. Factors influencing the placebo effect include conditioning, motivation, and perception. Conditioning through past experiences shapes expectations and responses. Motivation and desire for symptom relief also enhance the placebo effect. Perception and belief that a treatment will be effective drive the effect. The placebo effect has been found for conditions like pain, motor performance, respiratory function, and hormone levels. Placebo responses can activate dopamine and opioid systems in the brain, demonstrating a biological mechanism for the psychological and conditioned processes. Overall, the study provides evidence that the mind and body interact in ways that can influence health and physiology. Expectations and beliefs shape how people experience and respond to treatments in a complex interplay between psychological and biological processes. Book link click here.